All right, let's dive into one of the biggest turning points in human history, the Industrial Revolution. Seriously, this wasn't just a minor shift. It completely rewrote the rules for how we work, how we live, how we do pretty much everything. It's the reason our world looks the way it does today.
So, what are we really talking about? At its heart, it was this massive transformation you see right here. I mean, for centuries, if you wanted something, it was made by a person, probably in their own home. It was small scale. But then, boom, suddenly machines in huge factories are churning out goods for people all over the planet.
And that's the big question, right? Why England? Why did this incredible change ignite in this one small country? It really wasn't an accident. You see, a whole bunch of different ingredients all came together at just the right moment, creating the perfect storm for a global revolution.
Let's break down this recipe for revolution. First off, geography. England's an island, which kept it pretty stable and out of the big wars happening on the continent. Then you've got capital, a ton of money from trade just waiting to be invested. It also helps that the country was basically sitting on mountains of coal and iron, the essential fuel and building blocks for industry. And finally, you had the people, lots of them, moving from farms to cities, all looking for work.
Okay, so you have all the pieces in place. You've got the money, the materials, the workers. But how do you actually make the heavy machinery go? Human power isn't going to cut it. And you can't build a factory just anywhere you want next to a river. You need a new kind of power.
And the answer, of course, was steam. Now, steam engines kind of existed before, but they weren't all that great. It was James Watt's much more efficient version in the late 1700s that was the real game changer. This thing was a powerhouse. It was reliable, it was strong, and you could put it anywhere. It completely unlocked the potential of the factory. With this incredible new power source, one industry just absolutely exploded. Textiles. I mean, everybody needs cloth, right? The demand was massive, and with these new steam-powered factories, England could make cloth faster and cheaper than anyone anywhere. It didn't take long for it to earn a brand new nickname.
To really get what a big deal this was, just think about how cloth was made before. For literally thousands of years, every single step, from cleaning the raw cotton to spinning it into thread to weaving it into fabric, it was all done by hand. It was incredibly slow, skilled work.
And this is where it gets crazy. You get this chain reaction of inventions, like a set of dominoes falling. First, the spinning jenny lets one person do the work of 8 spinners. But that creates a new problem. You need stronger thread. So you get the water frame. Okay, now you have tons of thread, but the weavers can't keep up. That bottleneck leads to the power loom. You see? Each invention created a new problem that the next invention had to solve, and the whole process just got faster and faster.
And this number just says it all. 3,000. A single person running a machine called a spinning mule could produce as much thread as 3,000 people spinning by hand. Just think about that for a second. Overnight, an entire way of life, an entire profession just became obsolete. So now the factories are like a fire hose, just spraying out goods at a pace nobody had ever seen. Which is great, right? Except you've got this massive logistical headache. The old dirt roads and sleepy canals, they just couldn't handle it. The engine was roaring, but the wheels were basically stuck in the mud.
So what do? You start a whole new revolution in transportation. They built better roads, these new mechanized surfaces. They dug a huge network of canals to link factories to the sea. But the real breakthrough, the one that changed everything, was the railway. George Stephenson's steam locomotive, the Rocket, finally made it possible to move heavy stuff over land, fast and cheap.
And this first railway line is the perfect example of the new industrial logic. It wasn't just connecting 2 random cities. No, it was a strategic artery. It was designed specifically to haul raw cotton from the port of Liverpool to the textile mills in Manchester, and then haul the finished cloth right back to Liverpool to be shipped out to the rest of the world. But here's the thing. We can't talk about all this incredible innovation without talking about the flip side. Because all this progress, all this wealth, it came at a tremendous human cost. It created massive social upheaval and new kinds of suffering that people hadn't really seen before. Let's just go back to this chart for a second. That's not just a statistic. Each one of those 3,000 hand spinners was a real person with a skill, a family, a livelihood. And in the blink of an eye, all of that was just gone.
replaced by one person and a machine.
So, of course, people pushed back. You had groups like the Luddites. These were skilled workers who had lost everything, and they were angry. They organized riots and went into factories to smash the very machines that they saw, as the cause of all their misery. They were desperate.
And if you think the impact was huge in England, it was even more devastating in its colonies. Take India, for example. Before all this, India was a world leader, famous for exporting its own beautiful, finished textiles. But under British rule, its economy was completely flipped on its head. It was forced to stop making its own goods and instead just ship raw cotton to feed the factories back in England. And this quote from historians really sums it up perfectly. Britain's industrial boom was fueled by raw materials from India. At the same time, India's own successful industries in cities that were once famous for their craft, like Dhaka and Surat, were essentially wiped out. It was a process of deindustrialization that caused widespread poverty. So we're left with this really complicated legacy. The Industrial Revolution absolutely built the modern world we live in, from our phones to our global economy. But it was built on this strange dual engine, a brilliant innovation on one side, and deep, often brutal inequality on the other. And that tension between progress and the price we pay for it is something we're still wrestling with today.